They invented the smartphone in a world where mobile internet didn't exist. They created mobile apps when there was no app store. They imagined digital life decades before the world was ready to accept it. This is the story of General Magic, a company that went bankrupt but changed the future. In the late 1980s, computers were large, slow, and tied to desks. The Internet existed mainly in universities and government institutions. Mobile phones could only make calls, and the word smartphone had no meaning yet. It was at this moment inside Apple that the idea of a pocket computer for the future emerged, the Newton Project. One of the key people working on it was engineer and visionary Mark Porat, a man Steve Jobs reportedly called someone from the future, but Apple was not ready to go that far. In 1990, Mark Porat left Apple together with Bill Atkinson, the legendary Macintosh developer. Dozens of top engineers, designers, and programmers followed them. They founded a new company called General Magic. Their goal was not to build a device, but to create an entirely new digital reality. Their vision sounded almost unbelievable, even by today's standards. A pocket-sized device with a touchscreen that could send messages, receive news, run third-party applications, connect to a network, synchronize data, and act as a personal digital assistant. Essentially, a smartphone and the ecosystem around it. General Magic built its own operating system, Magic Cap, its own programming language, and its own interface concept based on rooms instead of desktops. They were among the first to define the idea of mobile software agents, programs that could move through networks and perform tasks autonomously. This was an early blueprint for push notifications, cloud services, and mobile apps. The company became a magnet for talent. People who worked at General Magic would later build the modern digital world. Tony Fadell, the future creator of the iPod and one of the fathers of the iPhone, Andy Rubin, the future founder of Android, Pierre Omidyar, the future founder of eBay. Engineers who would later work at Google, Adobe, Pixar, and Microsoft. This wasn't just a startup, it was a factory of the future. Investors were thrilled. Apple, Sony, Motorola, AT&T, and Philips all invested in General Magic. Total investments reached hundreds of millions of dollars. The company was called the Next Apple. In 1994, General Magic went public. Expectations were enormous. Its valuation approached $500 million. Partners released the first devices, the Sony Magic Link and the Motorola Envoy. These were pocket computers with touchscreens, email, notes, calendars, applications, and network access via modems. But there was one problem no amount of engineering brilliance could solve. The world wasn't ready. These devices required fast mobile internet, which didn't exist. They needed stable digital networks, which were unreliable. They needed cheap processors, which were expensive. They needed powerful batteries, which didn't exist. Data transmission was costly. The devices were heavy, slow, and expensive in a world where people still didn't understand why they would need email in their pocket. Users weren't ready. They didn't understand digital services. The interface felt complex. The devices didn't fit into everyday life in the 1990s. Sales collapsed. Despite product updates, cost-cutting, and strategic changes, the technological reality remained the same. By the late 1990s, General Magic lost most of its partners. The stock collapsed. In 2002, the company effectively ceased to exist. Investors lost hundreds of millions of dollars. The business disappeared. At the time, it was seen as a major failure, another overhyped startup that promised too much. But time moved on. Broadband internet arrived, then 3G. Processors became cheaper and more powerful. Batteries improved. Touchscreens became mainstream. People got used to email, messaging, and online services. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. In 2008, the App Store launched. The world applauded. What looked like a revolution was, in fact, the realization of General Magic's ideas, just at the right moment. Smartphones, mobile applications, push notifications, digital ecosystems, online services, all of it already existed in their vision more than 15 years earlier, years after the company shut down. The story of General Magic returned, not as a failure, but as a warning and a legend. Former employees recall an atmosphere of almost religious belief in the future. People worked through the nights because they believed they were building a new civilization, not just a product. They didn't talk about sales, they talked about people reading news on the move, sending messages from anywhere in the world, storing their lives in digital form. Those conversations would later become reality for billions of people. And when smartphones appeared in nearly every pocket in the 2010s, it became clear General Magic was not a market mistake. It was a rough draft. The world simply rewrote its ideas when it was finally ready. General Magic didn't lose to competition. It lost to time. The irony is that the people who built the future at General Magic eventually lived in it, just inside other companies. The company disappeared. The idea won. Their business went bankrupt, but the world became exactly what they had imagined. This is a story about how sometimes the future arrives too early and doesn't take with it those who saw it first.